Chain Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION@CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 9th of January 2025. From the news section. Glasgow buses disrupt as M77 closed due to emergency. This article has been written by Ben Waddle and it's being read by me, Corey. Glasgow buses have been disrupted after the M77 has been closed due to a multi-vehicle crash. Traffic Scotland has said that the motorway's southbound carriageway is currently shut at Junction 2, Barhead Road interchange, following the collision. Emergency crews are on the scene of the crash, however it is unknown if anyone has been injured during it. Now, Stagecoach has revealed several of its services are facing disruption due to the incident. The travel operators X77 from Ayr to Glasgow and X76 from Kilmarnock to Glasgow are subject to delays, diversions or cancellations following the collision. Meanwhile, Traffic Scotland has warned road users that traffic in the area is very heavy due to the crash. A spokesperson for Stagecoach said, "Due to a crash on the M77 at Silverburn, our X77/X76 services are subject to delays, diversions or cancellations." They added, "We've had to diverge X76 Glasgow to Kilmarnock via Shawlands and Newton Mearns due to an accident on the M77 southbound. We are sorry if this impacts your journey. We'll update our information as soon as we can." A spokesperson for Traffic Scotland said, M77 Junction 2. Closed to all southbound traffic at Junction 2 due to a multi-vehicle collision. Police and ambulance are at the scene. Traffic is already very heavy in the area. Police Scotland and the Scottish Ambulance Service have been contacted for comment. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Ben Waddle and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 9th of January 2025. From the news section. Much loved Glasgow bakery closing down after 6 years. This article has been written by Ben Waddle and it's being read by me, Corey. A much-loved independent bakery in Glasgow has announced its shop closure after 6 years. Brave Bakers, which is based in the Salt Market, revealed the gutting news on Facebook on January 6th. In the post, bosses of the business said it was a heartfelt farewell after deciding to close down. The owners of the business said they have grown, adapted and persevered through some of the toughest times, from the COVID-19 pandemic to the cost of living crisis. However, despite their best efforts to readjust and reinvent, they have now come to the difficult decision to shut down the eatery. A statement on the baker's Facebook reads, "A heartfelt farewell from Brave Bakers. 6 years ago, we took a leap of faith, starting a bakery in a new country, with no background, no guarantees, and just a passion for sharing delicious food. It's been an incredible journey filled with lessons, laughter, and friendships that we will cherish forever. We've grown, adapted and persevered through some of the toughest times, from the pandemic to inflation and the rising cost of living. Through it all, your support, kindness and encouragement have meant the world to us. You've made Brave Bakers more than just a bakery. You've made it a community. Despite our best efforts to readjust and reinvent, yet again, we've come to the difficult decision to close our doors. It's not a choice we made lightly, but it feels like the right time to step away and focus on the next chapter, whatever that may be. Thank you for believing in us, for every visit, for every smile, and for making Brave Bakers such a special place. We are incredibly proud of what we built together and will carry these memories with us always. With love and gratitude, Petru and the Brave Bakers team. Devastated punters of the venue flocked to the comments of the post to share their sadness about the news. One cried, "Oh no guys, so sorry, you've been amazing." Another chimed, "Oh, sorry that you're having to close. All the best for the future." A third added, "Very sorry to hear this. You were a fantastic addition to the area and will be missed." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Ben Waddle, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday, the 9th of January 2025. From the news section. Young boy in hospital after being hit by car in Glasgow. This article has been written by Ben Waddle and it's being read by me, Corey. A young boy was rushed to hospital after being hit by a car on a major Glasgow road. Police swooped on Paisley Road West near Midlock Street in the south side after receiving a report of an incident on Wednesday, January 8th. At around 5:10 p.m, the force was called to a crash involving a car and a pedestrian in the area. Following the alleged collision, the pedestrian, a young boy, was taken to hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the driver of the motor, a 21-year-old man, was arrested and charged in connection. A report will be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, around 5:10 p.m. on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, police were called to a report of a road crash involving a car and a pedestrian on Paisley Road West near Midlock Street, Glasgow. The pedestrian, a young boy, was taken to Queen Elizabeth University Hospital for treatment. The driver of the car, a 21-year-old man, was arrested and charged in connection with the incident. A report will be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Ben Waddle, and it was read by me, Corey.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January 2025, from the news section. Bus blocks road after crashing near airport. This article is unattributed. A bus has been pictured after crashing near Glasgow Airport and blocking a road. The McGill's vehicle collided with a wall on Mackenzie Street yesterday afternoon. No passengers were on board, as the bus was a training vehicle. The driver and the instructor were not injured in the incident. An eyewitness took a snap of the crash and gave Glasgow Times permission to share it. A spokesperson from McGill's buses said, "We can confirm one of our training vehicles was involved in a low-speed collision this afternoon in Mackenzie Street in Paisley. Neither the driver nor the instructor were injured in the incident, as it is a training vehicle. No passengers were on board. We believe no other vehicles were involved. We will review the circumstances of the collision in due course, and we apologise to any pedestrians or local road users who may have been inconvenienced by the incident." Police Scotland has been contacted for comment, and the author of that article is unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January 2025, from the news section. Demolition work gets underway at old flats. Report by Eva White. Demolition work is now underway at 3 derelict flat blocks in Clydebank. Secure fencing has gone up around the perimeter of Brunswick, Montreal and Quebec houses in Mountblow, alongside signs warning people to keep out. Photographs show signage and vans from contractors Central Demolition Limited at the site this week. It comes after we reported that work to flatten the properties was set to begin from around January 6th. Nearby residents claimed that they received a letter from Western Bartonshire Council, which owns the blocks, stating that they were demolished over the course of around 40 weeks. An official timescale has not been confirmed by the local authority. Utilities at the site, including external lighting, were disconnected in December in preparation for the work. In 2021, tenants said they wanted to be rehoused and for the buildings to be razed to the ground. It is understood that the rehoming process was eventually completed in November 2023. Speaking in December, a Western Bartonshire Council spokesperson said the rehoming of tenants was completed in winter 2023. Work to disconnect the utilities was completed this month and demolition will start early in the new year. We will continue to update neighbours as the work progresses. Once the properties are torn down, surveys on the land will be carried out to determine the best future uses of the site. And that report was written by Eva White. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January 2025, from the news section. Glasgow woman shares experience of fostering 10 kids over past decade. Report by Santaya Suresh. A foster carer from Glasgow has shared her experiences of caring for 10 children over the past decade. Sharon and her husband, Andrew, have provided a safe and loving home for 10 youngsters. She said, "Fostering was something we'd always thought about when we were going through fertility treatment because we've always wanted to have kids in our life. Especially for me, as I come from a huge family, and it was always important for me to have children in my life and have the whole family experience." She said she was petrified at the start and had to leave her job one day and start fostering the next. However, she said that when the children arrived, it just felt so natural, and within a half an hour, it felt normal. Sharon was supported by Barnardo's, which has run fostering services since the Victorian era and is opening up its archives. It hopes sharing these historic images will show the incredible impact that fostering can have and encourage more people to consider fostering at a time when the system is in crisis. The images include a family in 1964 enjoying a meal together and children being measured, weighed and having their teeth checked outside their foster home in 1939. Sharon added, "Our Bernardo's social worker was fantastic and supported us through it all. There hasn't been a single day I haven't felt supported by Bernardo's on my fostering journey." She encouraged others to consider fostering to do it with Bernardo's, saying, "They have the time and resources to support you, especially as a new foster carer when you might be feeling lost or like a fish out of water." Brenda Farrell, UK Director of Fostering and Adoption for Bernardo's, said, "Having supported children for a century and a half, we urgently need more people to come forward and consider becoming foster carers to play their part in continuing this legacy." The impact of the crisis is felt most by children in the care system. Without enough potential foster homes, children are already at risk of being placed in unsuitable situations as a last resort. And that article was written by Santaya Suresh. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January, from the news section. Italian spot reopens in city centre. This article is unattributed. A Glasgow restaurant has reopened with an exciting new look, menu and head chef. Il Pastaio by Otello, which is on St Vincent Street in the city centre, reopened yesterday. The eatery's new menu features a selection of fresh pasta dishes, antipasto dishes and desserts. To celebrate its reopening, the venue is offering punters pasta for £5 on Tuesday. The offer will be available to diners who book online or walk in. The establishment's new top chef, Otello Calvert, rose to fame on TikTok with his Inverness-based food truck, Tagliatelle. He is also known for running a pop-up restaurant in Great Western Road, Serendipity West. He said, "This opportunity to head up Il Pastaio and run my menu is wildly exciting. I'm going to pour everything I've learned during 15 years in hospitality and customer service with a team who I know are as enthusiastic as I am to do something great. I've worked in hospitality since I was 14, but I officially became a chef when I launched Tagliatelle in 2021. I thought the best way for me to be successful was to pick one food and do the best I could with it. And I picked the food I love the most, pasta." And the author of that article is unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January 2025, from the news section, "Man who abused kids over 35 years dies in jail." A paedophile who abused children over 35 years has died behind bars in HMP Barlinnie. William Pithy Hay passed away in the prison on Saturday, December 28th last year. The 74-year-old was convicted in April 2021 for sexually assaulting kids for more than 3 decades. Following a trial at the High Court in Glasgow, he was convicted of multiple counts of indecent assault and lewd behaviour. Police revealed the man sexually abused 10 boys in the Aberdeen area between 1981 and 2016. All of the boys knew Hay from local school football training and Sea Cadet training. During the time of his crime, the youngsters were aged between 10 and 15 years old. After the paedophile's conviction, Detective Chief Inspector Stephen Bertram from Police Scotland's National Child Abuse Investigation Unit slammed the criminal. He said, "William Hay is a sexual predator who abused young boys and befriended them either through football or the Sea Cadets. He betrayed their friendship and their trust." Announcing his death in the notorious Scots prison, the Scottish Prison Service said police have been advised of the matter. They also said his death has been reported to the Procurator Fiscal. Meanwhile, a fatal accident inquiry into Hay's death will be carried out in due course. A spokesperson for the Prison Service said, "Every death, whether in prison custody or in our communities, is a tragedy for all those who knew and supported the individual. Following the death of someone in our care, Police Scotland are advised, and the matter reported to the Procurator Fiscal." And the author of that article is unattributed. It was read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 11th of January 2025, from the news section, "Police arrest 20 people." Glasgow police arrested and charged 20 people over drug offences and dealing as part of a crime crackdown which saw new streets added to an exclusion zone. The operation, which targeted Bridge Street and Carlton Place south of the river and the St Enoch area, also led to 26 men and women being charged over antisocial behaviour, including carrying weapons. In total, 46 men and women aged between 16 and 28 have been reported to the Procurator Fiscal after the operation, which ran between September the 27th to November the 20th. Suspects are now banned from entering Carlton Place, Bridge Street and the surrounding area, as the neighbourhood has been added to the city centre exclusion zone. There is also a continued police presence in the neighbourhood. We have previously reported how a police inspector warned that teens were being forced to sell drugs in the streets, and fake delivery workers acted as spotters. Local councillor Soria Sadiq has welcomed the progress after Police Scotland shared an update with her on action taking place. A police spokesperson said, "From September 27th to November 20th, officers in Glasgow carried out an operation to address concerns regarding drug dealing and antisocial behaviour around the Bridge Street, Carlton Place and St Enoch areas. As a result, a total of 46 men and women aged between 16 and 28 were reported to the Procurator Fiscal. 20 of those people were arrested and charged in connection with drugs offences, including drug dealing. The other 26 men and women were charged in connection with a number of offences of antisocial behaviour, including possession of offensive weapons. All of those arrested in connection with drug dealing offences are due to appear in court at a later date and have bail conditions excluding them from entering the city centre. Southside Central Councillor Sadiq, Labour, said, "I welcome the progress update from Police Scotland with regards to Bridge Street and Carlton Place. Hopefully, with further focus and partnership working with local communities and stakeholders, there will be further progress and communities will benefit from feeling safer and better." And that report was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday, 11th of January 2025, from the news section, Sturgeon on grieving after end of salmon partnership. This article is unattributed. Former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has said she grieved for Alex Salmond 4 or 5 years before his death following the breakdown of their relationship. The pair formed one of the most successful political partnerships in UK history, winning every election campaign led by one or both of them north of the border since 2007. But after allegations of harassment were made against Mr Salmond by 2 women during his time as First Minister, the relationship between the two began to deteriorate before severing completely. Mr Salmond was cleared of a number of charges of sexual misconduct, including attempted rape, following a trial at the High Court in Edinburgh in 2020. He went on to become leader of the Alba Party, which became a frequent critic of his former party and former protégé. Mr Salmond died suddenly of a heart attack in October in North Macedonia at the age of 69. Asked if his death changed anything for her, Miss Sturgeon said, "No, I came to the conclusion that I probably grieved for Alex 5 years ago. The former SNP leader, who stood down abruptly in 2023, added she knew some of the women who had complained against Mr Salmond. "I've seen the impact not just of what they believe happened to them initially, but also the impact of the way he then behaved. It's been pretty hard," she said. The Glasgow Southside MSP, who has not yet declared her intention for the 2026 Holyrood election, did not attend a public memorial service for Mr Salmond at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh in November, instead going to the funeral of her friend, the comedian Janie Godley, in Glasgow on the same day. Ms Sturgeon said she had accepted I'd probably never speak to him again, adding, "Partly because I didn't think he would want to speak to me, but also because, had he turned up on my doorstep one day, unless he had been prepared to acknowledge some of the things that he had done, I wouldn't have wanted to do that." Her comments came after the SNP suffered a staggering general election defeat last year, falling from 48 MPs in 2019 to just 9. Ms Sturgeon said she accepted a fair chunk of responsibility for the loss, which came at the end of a tumultuous 18 months for the party. And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday, 14th of January, from the news section, driver to stand trial accused of killing grandfather. Report by Grant McCabe. A driver is to stand trial accused of killing a grandfather. Callum Fox is charged with hitting James Patterson, 63, as he walked in Paisley, Renfrewshire on November the 27th, 2022. The 28-year-old is said to have been behind the wheel of a Mercedes while impaired by alcohol. It is claimed Fox went at grossly excessive speeds and overtook a taxi when it was unsafe to do so. Prosecutors allege he did not keep the motor under proper control and ended up at one stage on the opposite side of the road. Fox is said not to have reacted to the presence of Mr Patterson, then a pedestrian on the roadway in the town's Breedland Road. It is claimed Fox did not take evasive action and hit the man. The indictment states Mr Patterson, a former shipbuilding worker, was left so severely hurt that he passed away at the scene. The case called for a short hearing at the High Court in Glasgow today, where Fox faced a charge of causing death by dangerous driving. His KC John Scullion said, "He pleads not guilty. The defence are ready for a trial to be fixed." Prosecutor Alex Prentice KC also agreed a trial should be set. Lord Armstrong scheduled a date for November this year in Glasgow. The case could last up to 5 days. Fox, also of Paisley, remains on bail meantime. And that report was by Grant McCabe. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday, 14th of January 2025, from the news section, exclusive. Large group of armed men in balaclavas spotted in Glasgow city centre, by Esther Tarnay. A large group of armed men wearing balaclavas were spotted roaming Glasgow city centre. The incident, which took place on April the 4th last year, came to light at a court hearing where Justin Kelly admitted to being part of the crowd and being in possession of an extendable baton. Around 9:15 p.m. that day, public CCTV identified around 25 men on Buchanan Street carrying weapons such as baseball bats. Many of them were also wearing balaclavas and snoots. Police were alerted, and as they arrived they saw the participants, including Kelly, walking towards Salt Market. Cops approached the 20-year-old, who provided his details and searched him. A balaclava and a baton were found on him, so he was arrested and put in a police van. He appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court last week. His solicitor told the court that Kelly and the others were disguising themselves because they were putting up stickers and posters in the city centre, and claimed he made a foolish decision to carry a weapon. He also explained there were no other groups in the area and the men were moving as one. The lawyer continued, he has no explanation why he had the item. He purchased it online. It was described as an extendable walking pole. I saw it, and it would have to be a very small person to use it as such. It was accepted as fitting the description of a baton. He also emphasised Kelly had no previous convictions and is at minimum risk of reoffending, and added, we have to consider his young age. I would be very surprised if I see him agreeing to join a group like this again. Sheriff Mary Shields said, it was a serious error of judgment. Kelly, of Wishaw, North Lanarkshire, was ordered to carry out 120 hours of unpaid work, which he has to complete in 12 months. And that article was an exclusive by Esther Tarnay. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday, 14th of January 2025, from the news section, police probe underway after intruders access Glasgow school. Report by Ben Waddell. A police probe is underway after intruders gained access to a Glasgow school. Cops swooped on Clevedon Secondary School in the West End after being alerted to the incident at around 11:30 a.m. on Monday, January 13th. An email from the school, which was sent to parents and posted on social media on the community group page No One Seems to Care, revealed two individuals who are not associated with the school gained access to the premises. It claimed the intruders were on the premises for a very brief period and left without incident. However, the school immediately reported the situation to the police. They said the individuals were let into the building by one of its pupils shortly after the end of its interval. Glasgow City Council has since confirmed the incident took place. Following the alarming situation, the local authority revealed that everyone at the school is fine. They also claimed the school building and security is taken very seriously, and all school doors have security entry. Meanwhile, they said pupils at the high school have been reminded of the importance of opening doors to strangers. Police Scotland said they received a report of antisocial behaviour involving youths in the area. An investigation into the incident is underway. The email was sent to parents and carers read, Dear parent/carer, I hope this finds you well. I write to inform you that today 2 individuals not associated with our school gained access to the school building. They were on the premises for a very brief period and left without incident. This incident was immediately reported to Police Scotland, and I wanted to reassure you that we take the safety of our young people and staff very seriously. Information gathered would indicate that these individuals were let into the building by one of our pupils shortly after the end of interval. We will be reminding our pupils about the importance of building security, and I would be very grateful if you could please discuss this with your child and emphasise to them the importance of keeping our building secure. No harm was caused. We will be speaking to all pupils about the potential seriousness of an incident such as this. However, your support in this matter would be much appreciated. A Glasgow City Council spokeswoman said, Everyone at the school is fine, and our schools take school building security very seriously. All school doors have security entry, and young people are being reminded about opening doors to strangers. The school informed parents of the incident and reassured them everyone was safe. Police were contacted. A spokesperson for Police Scotland added, around 11:30am on Monday, January 13th, we received a report of antisocial behaviour involving youths in the Clevedon Road area of Glasgow. Officers attended and there was no ongoing incident. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances. And that article was written by Ben Waddell. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 14th of January, from the news section. Woman claims she was the victim of sex attack by doctor. Article written by Connor Gordon. A woman claims she was the victim of a sex attack by a doctor at a private hospital. The 67-year-old said she was fondled by Lawrence McAlpine, 69, at Glasgow's Ross Hall Hospital on July 21st, 2021. Court papers state that McAlpine was acting in his capacity as a consultant doctor conducting medical examinations. McAlpine is on trial at Glasgow Sheriff Court, accused of sexually assaulting the woman. He is also accused of sexually assaulting a second woman during an examination on August 6, 2021. McAlpine, of Bearsden, East Bartonshire, denies the charges at the trial expected to last 4 days. The court heard from the retired castle manager who stated that she suffered with breathing difficulties. She claimed that she had a previous asthma examination at a different hospital before she went privately to Ross Hall, where she met McAlpine. The woman stated that she was asked by McAlpine if she wished to have a chaperone present for the examination. She claimed she refused a chaperone due to her previous experience of an examination, which involved a stethoscope placed on her chest and back. The woman told jurors that McAlpine asked her to strip from the waist up and she was not given a blanket. She stated that she crossed her arms to cover herself because she felt embarrassed. Prosecutor Sean Docherty asked the witness what McAlpine did to her, and she replied, "He put his hand on my leg and started to feel the top of my leg. He got 4 inches above my knee and took my arm away from me and held my arm. He then started to put the other arm down." The woman stated that McAlpine went on to grope her, which felt like a fondle. She said, "I was in total shock. I didn't understand what was happening. I thought you had to get on with it and that was the way it happens." The woman claimed that she felt vulnerable at the time and would have jumped through hoops if he had told her to. She added, "I had trust in the doctor and would do what I was told." The woman stated that the examination was also not like a mammogram to check for breast cancer. The witness claimed that McAlpine went on to put a stethoscope on her back, which finished the examination. Jurors were told that she was given a 2-week course of steroids. She claimed upon leaving, McAlpine said to her, "Thank you for dressing so nicely for me tonight." The woman stated that McAlpine diagnosed her with asthma, which was life-changing for me. She added that the course of steroids worked. However, she reported to McAlpine that she was bleeding. He is claimed to have told her that the bleeding made her young again. The woman said, "I never said he was a bad doctor. I was very grateful and he asked me to write a testimonial for him and I did." Mr. Docherty asked the witness why she wrote the testimonial if he touched her in the manner described. She replied, "I didn't know at the time that it shouldn't have happened. I was grateful for being diagnosed and getting my life back." The trial was told that the woman also recommended McAlpine to a woman whom she knew. Jurors heard that the same woman she had recommended McAlpine to later told her to report what he had done to her. The woman reported the matter to the police in April 2022. Victoria Dow, defending, told the witness that doctors will give evidence in the trial that a number of the things described were normal and expected parts of the examination. Miss Dow asked if she was sure that there was not a modesty blanket available, and she replied, "No." The advocate later asked if she was happy with McAlpine, and she replied, "Happy that I was treated. I didn't want to go back to him." Miss Dow suggested that her client used a stethoscope in her front, which the woman said was a lie. The advocate read the woman's police statement, where she is alleged to have said that she felt she had been assaulted after the call with the other woman. The statement also says that the woman told officers McAlpine's remark was, Thanks for making the effort to dress so nicely for me. A 17-year-old retired shopkeeper said she was groped during her respiratory examination with McAlpine in August 2021. She stated that McAlpine also told her to remove her upper clothing before the examination. The woman claimed that she shut her eyes during the procedure. The woman told the jurors that McAlpine did not put the stethoscope on her back. She stated that she initially did not tell anyone what happened, as he was a doctor. You go to someone you trust and respect. I thought he did things differently than I had before. You trust someone? The woman later claimed that she plays back the examination every night. She added, I can't sleep and don't sleep. I'm lucky if I get 5 or 6 hours sleep a night. I relive it every single time I take my clothes off. Every time I get in a shower, I relive this. I am a private person and I can't get my head around it. The trial continues before Sheriff Daniel Kelly. And that report was written by Connor Gordon and read by Ian McKenna.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. Unfair and distressing. Alex Salmon's widow hits out amid bullying claims. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Alex Salmon's widow says that comments made about her late husband are unfair and distressing. Moira Salmond said that the comments come from those determined to damage the former First Minister's reputation, as she urged critics to let Alex rest in peace. Mr. Salmond died suddenly of a heart attack last year at the age of 69. Mrs. Salmond's intervention comes following an interview in which Nicola Sturgeon said that she had stepped in many times when Alex Salmond was really tough on people. A statement from Mrs. Salmond was sent to the PA news agency by lawyers representing her. It said, in recent days, it's caused me and the wider family great distress to read the comments of those who seem determined to damage his reputation, even in death. It's difficult for us to understand what motivates these interventions, especially when such comments are made in the knowledge that Alex cannot defend himself, as he would certainly have done. Those attacking him must know that the law does not allow us, his family, to protect his reputation from being defamed now that he is gone. The statement added, attacks by the living on the dead will seem to many as deeply unfair. My wish and my sincere hope is that these attacks will now stop. I'm therefore asking those involved to recognise that all they're doing is causing hurt and pain to his family. From this point on, please let Alex rest in peace. Appearing on the BBC's Sunday show before the publication of Mrs. Salmon's statement, current First Minister John Swinney was asked about Nicola's comments on Alex's behaviour. Mr. Swinney said, I think it's pretty well documented that Alex could be quite brisk with people, and sometimes we all witnessed that. And sometimes we all had to say, look, that's not on. And that's the way it was. The SNP said it did not wish to comment in response to Mrs. Salmon's statement. An article written by Morgan Carmichael.
Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 13th of January. Glasgow man threatened to have another done in. An exclusive, front-page article submitted by a court reporter. A convicted killer threatened to have another man done in after claiming he owed him money. Gerald Rowett, who is 52, was sentenced at Glasgow Sheriff Court recently after pleading guilty to behaving in a threatening or abusive manner. The court heard that at 3:30 on the afternoon of December 10, 2024, a support worker at William Hunter House in Lauriston went to check on resident Thomas Hodge. When they got to his room, they could hear raised voices in another room, which they recognised to be Mr. Hodge. He was agitated and alluded to an incident with another resident, but refused to say what had happened. The support worker went to the manager's office to report the incident, and during their conversation, Mr. Rowett was seen pacing in the corridor. After going to check on Mr. Rowett, they found him shouting, "That guy owes me money, if I don't see him I'm going to kill him, that's a promise, and I'm going to get my pals to come do him in." Mr. Rowett acknowledged that these remarks were about Mr. Hodge. Staff attempted to calm Mr. Rowett down, but due to his behaviour, other residents were asked to leave the lounge area. Police were contacted and arrested Mr. Rowett. He was cautioned and charged, to which he replied, "I was defending myself. Hodge is getting done in." Whilst at Cathcart police station, Mr. Rowett stated, "I'll sort out that junkie, I'll have him killed." He also told police that Mr. Hodge would have to move out of the emergency accommodation for his own safety. Mr. Rowett's lawyer told the court that her client had reacted this way after being pressured to take drugs. The defense solicitor said, "When in the situation of being pressured to take a substance that has, in essence, fueled his record, that was a trigger to him. It brought back what he described as PTSD. It was a trigger and he reacted in that manner." Addressing Mr. Rowett, Sheriff Patricia Price stated the behavior was concerning, as he had taken a human life before. In 2005, Mr. Rowett was jailed for 9 years, after admitting culpable homicide at the High Court in Glasgow. Sheriff Price said, "He has got a shocking record, one of the worst I've ever seen. This behavior is concerning given the fact you have taken a human life before. It is to be taken very seriously. Given your record, I am well within my rights to send you to custody." Mr. Rowett was tagged for 16 weeks, keeping him indoors from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. An exclusive, front-page article submitted by a court reporter.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. Lanarkshire councils to share £1.5 billion cash boost. An article written by Esther Tarnay. Councils in Lanarkshire will share more than £1.5 billion in funding over the next year. A plan for a new hospital has also progressed. Under the local government settlement, North Lanarkshire Council will receive £869.7 million and South Lanarkshire will be allocated £805.8 million. Significant funding will also be provided to support the development of the full business case for the replacement for University Hospital Monklands. Through the £2 billion Learning Estate Investment Programme, the Scottish Government will provide significant support towards extensions to Christon High School and Newton Farm Primary School. Finance Secretary Shona Roberson said, "This ambitious budget delivers funding for communities the length and breadth of Scotland, delivering the services required to meet the changing needs of a modern nation. This includes vital funding for education in Lanarkshire and developing the full business case for the replacement of Monklands Hospital. I'm urging Parliament to work together to pass the budget, a budget for hope and recovery, which enables us to get on with delivering on the priorities of the people of Scotland." An article written by Esther Tarnay.
Glasgow Times on Monday, the 13th of January. Lifestyle. A seat from an old Glasgow subway carriage transformed into a sofa. An exclusive article written by Nicole Mitchell. A seat from one of the old Glasgow subway carriages has been transformed into a sofa. Matt McCallum used the iconic seat to create the unique piece of furniture, after he came across it on Facebook Marketplace a few months ago. Matt, who purchased the seat for £150, explained, "I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, and I happened to see it for sale. A guy was selling a bunch of them. I think he was saving them from the scrap heap." We previously reported that the second generation of subway carriages, which came into use in the 1980s, were phased out with new trains last year, with the final day of operation for remaining carriages on June 28, 2024. Matt, who grew up in Bishopbriggs, and now lives in the city centre, says that he was sad to see the old carriages go, but inspiration struck when the seat came up for sale. He said, "It was sad to say goodbye to the old design because there's something iconic about it. The thought had crossed my mind that you could make a blanket, wallpaper or cushions out of it." He continued, "When it came up on Marketplace I thought, that could be that thing, you could make a piece of furniture out of the actual thing." After a few months of waiting for the right thing to pop up, Matt saw a second-hand IKEA sofa on eBay for £80 last month, with the sellers ideally located in Glasgow. Making use of his annual leave at the start of January, it then took Matt just a couple of days to transform the old subway seat. The 30-year-old said, "I'm really proud of it. It's come together better than I could have hoped. I'm happy with how much I kept it simple by reusing the fixings and stuff." He added, "My friends like it, they think it's cool. Some of my family think it's cool but some think, oh that's disgusting. I can understand the reservations with it, probably half of Glasgow has sat on it by now." While some other people have raised concerns about how clean the seat will be, Matt has used a carpet cleaner to go over the fabric several times, and also says that the covers are removable and he will be able to put them through the wash. Although the sofa is a unique piece, Matt says it ties in with some of the other furniture in his house, and after sharing the project on X, he's hoping to have inspired a few more people who purchased subway seats. The architect said, "I know of a handful of other people who bought the subway seat, but I haven't seen what they've done with it. Because the arms and stuff are from IKEA, hopefully it's something people should be able to find easily and replicate quite easily." An exclusive article written by Nicole Mitchell. Glasgow Times. On Monday, the 13th of January. Lifestyle. Glasgow hosts an event on proposed speed limit changes. An article written by Sandhya Suresh. An engagement event is set to take place in Glasgow, as part of the consultation on proposed changes to speed limits in Scotland. The event will be held at the University of Strathclyde on February 5, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., on Level 3. It's one of several in-person events organised across the country, to allow the public to ask questions and provide feedback on the proposed changes. The consultation, part of Scotland's National Speed Management Review, seeks to evaluate the appropriateness of current speed limits and their contribution to reducing road injuries and fatalities. The proposals suggest reducing the national speed limit on single carriageways from 60 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour, while increasing speed limits for goods vehicles over 7.5 tons on single carriageways from 40 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour, and on dual carriageways from 50 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour. Since opening on November the 27th, 2024, the online consultation has already garnered more than 8,700 responses. Fiona Hislop, the Transport Secretary, said, "Road safety is a priority for the Scottish Government and we remain absolutely committed to working towards our ambitious goal of making Scotland's roads the safest in the world by 2030. We have already had a huge response to the online consultation, and these events will enable people to learn more about the proposed changes. It's also really important that we hear views from the public and stakeholders. I'd like to thank everyone who has taken the time to engage with the consultation so far, and hope people will take the opportunity to attend these sessions." An article written by Sandhya Suresh.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. Meeting this week to discuss removing the cap on taxis and private hires. An article written by Stuart Patterson. A meeting takes place this week to discuss whether the council should review the cap on taxis and private hire cabs in Glasgow. Currently, there's an over-provision cap set at $1,420 for taxis and $3,450 for private hire cars. There are 1,238 taxi licences and 3,450 private hire car licences operating in Glasgow. Reports, however, have suggested that there are not enough of each, particularly in the city centre in the evenings and at weekends, to support the nighttime economy. There have been calls from business leaders to increase the number of available licences to ensure that more cabs are on the streets. They claim a lack of cars is keeping people away from the city centre at night. Representatives for drivers, however, have said that the problem is a lack of customers and that drivers are barely able to make a living. On Wednesday, councillors will discuss a proposal by officials to instruct a consultation on the demand for taxi and private hire car services in the city and whether the licensing authority should continue to have policies limiting the number of such licensed vehicles. It could see the cap removed and there being no limit on the number of licences that the council can issue. Or it could remain the same, or in theory, potentially lowered. Given the reports and studies that have led to the call for a review, it's likely that any change would seek to increase availability. The consultation, if approved, will ask whether the policies limiting the number of taxis and private hire cars in the city are still necessary and proportionate, and whether they continue to be in the public interest. The report to councillors by Mary Miller, Director of Legal and Administration, states, "Since the policies were last reviewed, concerns have continued to be raised regarding the availability of taxi and private hire cars in the city. Recent reports by the Progressive Partnership and Glasgow Caledonian University Moffat Centre, which were commissioned by the council, indicate that the late-night city centre economy continues to face a number of post-COVID challenges. The challenges include a decline in footfall, with both reports highlighting issues relating to a lack of late-night transport options, including the availability of taxi and private hire cars acting as a deterrent to people coming into the city centre later in the evening. The consultation would seek the views of the public generally, the taxi and private hire car trade, and from those involved in the city's late-night economy. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. The Met Office reveals when the UK's cold spell will come to an end. An article written by Matthew Evans. 2025 has seen temperatures plummet for most parts of the UK, with blankets of deep snow stretching across our counties. But the end of the UK's bitter cold spell is nigh. According to the Met Office, temperatures dropped to minus 13.9 degrees Celsius overnight on Saturday. Kinbrace in northern Scotland saw the lowest overnight temperature with minus 13.9 degrees Celsius, while Cavendish in Suffolk hit minus 7.8 degrees Celsius and Harden Airport in Wales dropped to minus 2.2 degrees Celsius, the Met Office said. It comes after temperatures plummeted to minus 18.9 degrees Celsius on Saturday morning in Altnahara and was the UK's coldest January night in 15 years. The average low in northern Scotland for this time of year is about 0.3 degrees Celsius, whilst for England overnight lows are about 1.5 to 1.6 degrees Celsius. Overnight on Sunday is when the milder air will arrive. By the end of the night, temperatures in Northern Ireland and Western Scotland could be between 9 and 10 degrees Celsius, whilst most places will be between minus 1 degree Celsius and 3 degrees Celsius, which is not as cold compared to recent nights. Next week is set to start with a north and south split in temperatures and weather, with Northern Ireland and the northern half of the country cloudy with outbreaks of patchy rain and temperatures between 9 and 12 degrees Celsius, whilst the central and southern areas will be drier and between 5 and 8 degrees Celsius. Tuesday will be similar, but potentially drier, with temperatures between 11 and 12 degrees Celsius in the north and 8 to 9 degrees Celsius in the south. Met Office meteorologist Greg Dewhurst said it'll be back to average temperatures generally for the time of year. An article written by Matthew Evans. Glasgow Times on Monday the 13th of January. Opinion. The need for a targeted inquiry into child rape gangs scandal. A column written by Mike Daly. Much opprobrium has been directed towards Elon Musk by members of the UK government and indeed some MSPs in the context of the child rape and the grooming gang scandal. Mr Musk has often used vituperative language against UK ministers, as well as making a few wild calls. For example, calling on the King to dissolve Parliament is fantasy politics. Our constitution doesn't allow for that to happen without a request by the Prime Minister. The last time a monarch became authoritarian and bypassed Parliament, we had a civil war, and Charles I was executed for high treason in 1649. In my opinion, Elon Musk has done the UK an important public service. The Independent Child Sexual Abuse Inquiry for England and Wales began in March 2015. It was led by Professor Jay and established under the 2005 Inquiries Act. A series of reports were published, with a final one in November 2022. None of the 20 recommendations from the Jay report have been implemented. There's been no sense of urgency almost a decade on from the start of the inquiry. Indeed, the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry is currently ongoing and is now in its 9th year. The biggest reform recommended by Professor Jay was for those in regulated jobs working with children to have a duty to report abuse they witnessed or were told about by either the child or by the perpetrator. Not doing so would be a criminal offence, as would covering up the abuse. The elevation of child abuse by organised gangs to a worldwide scandal by Mr Musk's interventions has prompted other political parties to demand action. Last week, the Home Secretary announced that mandatory reporting will now be part of the England and Wales Crime and Policing Bill, planned for this spring. Sir Keir Starmer and his ministerial colleagues have refused calls for a new public inquiry into the rape and grooming gangs, citing the fact that we do have the J Report. To be fair, the J Report had wide terms of reference and was focused on safeguarding children and preventing future child sexual abuse. It had little focus on the particular issue of organised gangs in some 50 towns and cities. A key criticism was that officials had been wary of identifying ethnic origins, predominantly Asian men, for fear of upsetting community cohesion or being seen as racist. There was also the egregious evidence that officials took no action as they deemed children as young as 11 to be having consensual sexual intercourse. The age of consent to sexual activity is well understood to be 16 across the UK. All of this raises the fundamental point. How can there be justice for children if those involved, including statutory failures and cover-ups, are not held to account? Last week, the Mayor of Greater Manchester said that he would back a limited national inquiry into child grooming gangs to compel people to give evidence so that those who may have charges to answer are held to account. Andy Burnham pointed to the limitations of local council reviews that had no power to require evidence to be given, and how some police officers in Oldham, for example, had refused to take part. If justice is to be done, we need the kind of solution as proposed by Mr Burnham. A column written by Mike Daly. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. Parking companies are making changes to tackle the 5-minute rule in car parks. An article written by Joshua Searle. Private parking companies have pledged to update their code of conduct after legal action was launched against a driver for taking more than 5 minutes to pay for using a car park. 2 industry bodies representing the sector announced that they have established a panel to revise the code to ensure that it protects genuine motorists who have difficulty making prompt payment on entry. The British Parking Association, or BPA, and the International Parking Community, or IPC, said that the panel will also fast-track updates to the code to reflect technological advancements. In November last year, the BBC reported that Rosie Hudson was being taken to court by a private parking company for £1,906 after she repeatedly took more than 5 minutes to pay after entering a car park in Derby because of a poor mobile phone signal. Private parking businesses have been accused of using misleading and confusing signs, aggressive debt collection and unreasonable fees. It emerged in November that drivers in Britain are being hit by an average of more than 41,000 parking tickets per day by private companies. Some 3.8 million tickets were handed out between July and September last year, according to analysis of government data by the PA News Agency and motoring research charity, the RAC Foundation. Each ticket can be up to £100, meaning that the total cost to drivers may be near £4.1 million per day. A bill to enable the introduction of a government-backed code of practice for private parking companies received royal assent under the Conservative government in March 2019. It was withdrawn in June 2022 after a legal challenge by parking companies. This code included halving the cap on tickets for most parking offences to £50, creating a fairer appeal system and banning the use of aggressive language on tickets. In June, both the BPA and the IPC published their own code of practice, which will be overseen by the new panel. IPC Chief Executive Will Hurley said, "The creation of the panel shows the commitment the industry has to improving the reputation of our sector. We must not forget the valuable service we provide to ensure that the vast majority of people can park when and where they need to." BPA Chief Executive Andrew Pester said, "We want to demonstrate that not only are we serious about raising standards, but also making decisive changes to the code when issues arise. In relation to the 5-minute rule, the organisation stressed that many car parks are pay on entry, and it's important that drivers read signage and follow instructions. RAC Senior Policy Officer Rod Dennis said, "The fact that the private parking industry is already having to review its own code just months after it was introduced shows that it's not working in drivers' interests. This is yet another reason why the launch of the long overdue official private parking code of practice that became law 5 years ago is very much needed. We fear that without this, drivers who use private car parks will continue to be worse off." An article written by Joshua Searle. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 13th of January. Residents living in fear after crashes. An exclusive article written by Lucy Jackson. A concerned resident has said he is living in fear as the council is doing nothing following a number of crashes at a block of flats in Paisley. Peter Campbell, who is 76, lives with his wife Kathleen, who is 74, in Hamilton Court, which has been the site of several serious incidents in recent years. In March of last year, part of the building at Calside was destroyed when a McGill's bus crashed into the side. 5 people were rushed to hospital, including the driver. 2 years earlier, a car ended up completely destroying the laundrette after it became embedded into the building. Peter, who is a retired mechanic, has lived in the building for 15 years, during which time he has seen around 15 incidents take place. He said, "There's no deterrent, nothing at all to stop it from happening. The council doesn't give a damn about the tenants. All they're interested in is collecting the rent every month and doing nothing. It's not a question of if it will happen again, it's a question of when it will happen." When the bus crashed into the building last year, Peter said he felt the whole building shake from his home on the 15th floor. The council carried out an inspection on the building following the incident and came to the conclusion that it could not implement any measures which would have prevented the collision. It took no further action. Meanwhile, police have said that no one was charged over the incident and inquiries are now complete. Peter has found the situation so stressful that he wants to move away, but is unable to do so due to his health. He said, "I had a stroke 7 months ago. I would love to move, but me and my wife aren't fit enough at our age. Don't get me wrong, we love the house. It's an absolute sanctuary for us, but we're living in fear. Everybody is. If the worst should happen about this building and it collapses and we get killed, I've instructed my family to go ahead and sue the council for corporate manslaughter. They've already been warned so many times and they're doing nothing about it." The council told residents that putting bollards in place would be too dangerous because if a car crashed into them at high speed, it's likely to cause more serious harm to the driver. Yet Peter argued that many more lives could be lost if the council continued to do nothing. He said, "The building's taken quite a few hits. How many hits is it going to take before the building collapses? There are 90 houses in this building and there's a minimum of 2 people in each house. So you're talking 180 to 200 people at least." Peter called on the council to take action and install a deterrent, such as bollards, holes or plant pots. He added, "I don't care what they do, as long as it's a deterrent." Councillor Bruce McFarlane, who represents the ward Hamilton Court is in, has repeatedly urged the council to put a deterrent in place to prevent further accidents. He said that the council did not act when he first raised concerns in 2022 and called on residents to get in touch with their experiences. He said, following an incident on the evening of August the 18th of 2022 involving the collision of a car with Hamilton Court, I wrote to the Director of Communities and Housing the following morning on behalf of residents, stating that crash barriers should be installed to protect the building from future incidents. I made it clear to the Director that residents have stated that vehicles have collided with this building several times over a number of years, and that if safety measures were not put in place, then another vehicle colliding with the building was almost a certainty. Unfortunately, despite the warning of myself and residents, the council did not act, and a further incident involving a bus crashed into Hamilton Court in March last year. Following the most recent incident, I again raised concerns with the council, stating that it's imperative that crash barriers are installed at the base of the building to protect the residents. The council advised that they would undertake a roads investigation before determining whether they would implement additional safety measures. My position is absolutely clear. The council should install barriers at this location to protect the building from future impacts. And if residents would like to contact me to share their experiences with the housing department, please do get in touch. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Renfrewshire Council said, road safety is of paramount importance, and as is the case with all road traffic accidents, we review police reports and carry out safety inspections at the location to determine if any additional safety measures are required. It was determined that the nature of the road was not the cause of the 2 serious collisions at Hamilton Court, and neither would have been prevented by road safety measures available to the council. Although bollards or a barrier in front of the building may reduce damage caused to the building as a consequence of such an incident, this could also make the outcome of a collision much worse. We take resident concerns seriously, and our team is available to respond to any questions or concerns that residents may have. We continually monitor all roads in Renfrewshire to ensure that they are safe, and work with the local community and our partners to investigate any necessary safety measures. But in this instance, we've been unable to offer any measures which could have reduced the risk of these incidents occurring. An exclusive article written by Lucy Jackson.
From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 15th of January. From the lifestyle section, breaking. Linda Nolan of the Nolans Music Group has died, aged 65. Report by Morgan Carmichael. Linda Nolan, a member of hit pop group The Nolans, has died in hospital surrounded by family. Linda was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2005, given the all clear in 2011, but in 2017 was diagnosed with secondary breast cancer. In 2020 it spread, and by 2023 was in her brain. Linda was famous along with her sisters, Anne, 74, Denise, 72, Maureen, 69, and Colleen, 59, who were all at her bedside when she passed away. Together, the sisters made the Nolans and sold more than 30 million records, along with performing for President Gerald Ford and touring with Frank Sinatra. The sisters took to X today to share the news. They said, "It's with great sadness that we announce the passing of beloved Linda Nolan. She faced incurable cancer with courage, grace and determination, inspiring millions. Surrounded by family, she passed peacefully. A pop icon and beacon of hope, Linda will never be forgotten." Linda's manager Dermot McNamara said, "It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Linda Nolan, the celebrated Irish pop legend, television personality, Guinness World Record holding West End star, Sunday Times best-selling author and Daily Mirror columnist. As a member of the Nolans, one of the most successful girl groups of all time, Linda achieved global success, becoming the first Irish act to sell over 1 million records worldwide, touring the world and selling over 30 million records with hits such as Gotta Pull Myself Together, Attention to Me, and the iconic disco classic I'm in the Mood for Dancing. Her distinctive voice and magnetic stage presence brought joy to fans around the world, securing her place as an icon of British and Irish entertainment. Beyond her incredible career, Linda dedicated her life to helping others, helping raise over £20 million for numerous charities, including Breast Cancer Now, Irish Cancer Society and Samaritans, amongst countless others. Her selflessness and tireless commitment to making a difference in the lives of others will forever be a cornerstone of her legacy. Over the weekend, Linda was taken by ambulance to Blackpool Victoria Hospital and admitted with double pneumonia. In the early hours of Tuesday morning, she went into a coma and into end-of-life care, surrounded by her devoted family. At around 10:20 am on Wednesday, January 15th, she passed peacefully with her loving siblings by her bedside, ensuring she was embraced with love and comfort during her final moments, aged 65. Linda's legacy extends beyond her incredible achievements in music and entertainment. She was a beacon of hope and resilience, sharing her journey to raise awareness and inspire others. Her family kindly asked for privacy at this difficult time, while they, and Linda's friends, grieved the loss of an extraordinary woman. Details of a celebration of Linda's remarkable life will be shared in due course. Rest in peace, Linda. You will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. And that piece was written by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 15th of January, from the lifestyle section. Popular restaurant chain to open third branch in Glasgow. Report by Craig Williams. Maki and Ramen, the popular Japanese restaurant chain that originally founded in 2015 in Edinburgh, has announced it will open its newest branch in Glasgow's West End. The move marks a significant milestone as the company expands its footprint with its very first franchise location, which is set to open on February 21st. Building on the success of the chain's 8 existing sites across the UK, including 2 popular branches already serving Glasgow's vibrant food scene, the latest opening represents the next exciting chapter for Maki and Ramen. Known for its authentic Japanese flavours and dedication to delivering exceptional dining experiences, the brand has steadily grown since its beginnings in Edinburgh in 2015, making its way to England last year. Founder Teddy Lee said, "This is a proud moment for the Maki and Ramen family as we open our first franchise branch. We are excited to bring our passion for Japanese cuisine to even more people in Glasgow, a city that has embraced us warmly." The new branch will offer the signature dishes Maki and Ramen is famous for, including handcrafted sushi, flavourful ramen bowls and other Japanese delights. And that report was written by Craig Williams and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 15th of January, from the lifestyle section. Scottish Opera announces live performance in Glasgow, by Amy Miles. Scottish Opera is celebrating the healing powers of music with live performances at a Glasgow Performing Arts Theatre. The Breathe Cycle initiative, which explores the positive impact of vocal exercises on lung conditions, will be brought to life on stage. The performance is scheduled to take place at Tron Theatre on February 1st. Tickets can be bought online. The initiative was originally developed in 2013 by Scottish Opera and Glasgow's Gartnavel General Hospital West of Scotland Adult Cystic Fibrosis Unit. It aimed to investigate the potential benefits of breath control and vocal routines on the physical and mental health of patients with lung conditions. The live performances will showcase the transformative effects of daily breath control and vocal training on those with lung conditions. They will also include participants' experience of living with these often life-limiting conditions. The performances will be led by award-winning composer Gareth Williams and writer Martin O'Connor. They will be joined by Admiral Fallow's Lewis Abbott, operatic tenor David Douglas, and actor-songwriter Francis Thorburn. Jane Davidson MBE, Director of Outreach and Education at Scottish Opera, said, "As we expand the Breath Cycle 2 programme in 2025, we are excited to bring these remarkable stories to the stage for the first time. Our ensemble will bring life to the experience of Breath Cycle participants through songs crafted by Gareth Williams and Martin O'Connor. These performances not only showcase personal journeys but also raise awareness about respiratory health challenges facing many Scots. Audiences will even have the opportunity to experience some of our proven breathing exercises and vocal techniques firsthand." And the article was written by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 15th of January, from the lifestyle section. Wedding Show makes debut in Glasgow this weekend, by Amy Miles. A blizzard of confetti will fall in Glasgow this weekend as a wedding show debuts in the city. The Confetti Wedding Show is set for January 18th and 19th at the Crown Plaza, Glasgow, offering everything from cakes to dresses, hairstylists, makeup artists, DJs, bands and more. This is the first show from the brand, but the team at Paramount Creative have been running the Confetti Wedding Awards for a decade. Tickets can be purchased at confettiweddingshow.uk using the code WEDSHOW50 for 50% off. Couples attending will have the chance to meet suppliers and possibly win parts of their big day for free. Warren Paul, Confetti boss, said, "We're really proud to be offering something new and exciting for the people of Scotland. Yes, there are lots of wedding shows out there, but this is a whole new level. We have put together a really special selection of the very best offerings out there, and we're confident this can be a one-stop shop for anyone planning a wedding." The event will feature a competition with 10 prizes, including a hen party stay for 6 at Norton House Hotel and Spa, a £250 wedding cake voucher from Kaylee's Crumbs, and a free engagement shoot worth £350 by Dookie Macmillan Photography. He said, "Our Confetti Wedding Awards have, for the last 10 years, been spotlighting the premium providers of everything any couple could want for their day, so we are bringing a lot of those companies together under one roof to make planning a breeze. Whether you're an old hand at these things and just looking for final touches, or new ideas, or are just getting started on planning your big day, or if you suddenly have a last-minute wedding to organise after a surprise proposal, this is the place to find what you need. We have kept ticket prices really reasonable as we want to be accessible to all, so it's just £5 a ticket instead of £10 with our half-price offer code, and then a few pounds for the catwalk show if you want to see that, so £8 in total. Weddings are for everyone, and so is the Confetti Wedding Show." And that report was by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 15th of January. From the opinion section, Ask Janice. Ask Janice, frustration after playground kids run riot in my home. By Janice Bell. Dear Janice, I invited some playgroup mums and their kids to my house, but I very quickly regretted it. I know they're only 4-year-olds, but my home was wrecked by the time they left. Despite repeatedly asking them to stick to the playden, they ran amok. I caught 2 of them in my bedroom going through my drawers, and another had crayon on my walls. Toy boxes were emptied, sweetie papers were dropped, and taps were left running. They even dragged my son's bedding off his bed to make a camp, and no amount of bribery or telling them off made any difference. What upset me most was that the mums sat sipping Prosecco, seemingly oblivious to the chaos their children were causing as they rampaged throughout my house. They all said it was a great day and were looking forward to the next time, but I was seething and burst into tears after they'd gone as the whole day was extremely stressful. Help. Amanda. Dear Amanda, children act like copycats in order to fit in. They get excited and don't always know how to respond to other kids' behaviour. They can also misbehave because they don't understand what is expected of them. So, when parents sit on their backside sipping Prosecco instead of monitoring their activities, the kids aren't the ones to blame. That said, some adults are not emotionally equipped to be a parent or have never had clear guidance themselves. I also reckon that in their tiny minds, your house guests assumed the kids were in a playgroup environment with someone else, you, supervising, instead of taking charge of their own unruly brats. Unfortunately, lack of discipline turns lovely children into unlikable monsters, whose parents become bewildered when people no longer invite them out socially. It might make you unpopular, but if you're in a group chat and someone mentions your next playdate, be honest. Send them a list of the destruction caused and suggest someone else takes the turn. As a parent, it's your job to choose your child's environment, and if that means distancing them from certain kids, or parents, then that's what you must do. Dear Janice, my husband has completed yet another personal development course and now acts like he knows it all. No matter what we discuss, he interrupts because he knows more about it than I do. I can't be bothered engaging in conversation with him anymore, but this is getting us nowhere. Carol. Dear Carol, usually when a person wants to dominate a conversation, it is because they need the attention, they're enthusiastic, bored, or have impulse behaviours such as ADHD. It's tricky, but going forward, when he interrupts you, you can either keep talking regardless, stop talking, ask him to hear you out, or simply walk away. Everyone needs to be heard, so if you act as suggested, very soon the penny should drop as to the extent of his rude behaviour. I hope it works. And that was Ask Janice, the problem page from the Glasgow Times.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Review and Review and to tell your friends about our service.